Hello, everyone. Welcome to the October 12th, 2021 meeting of the Williamsburg Area School District Board of Directors. Let's start today with the pledge.
To the flag, the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and justice.
Okay, so we have everybody in attendance, Ms. Kuzer, so I think we're good there. Though I would like to introduce our new junior student representative, who is Riley Mazzy. She will be joining Karis Cox, and hopefully they're gonna team it a little bit here as the year goes on, and we appreciate you being willing to step up and serve in this way. As we do, of course, for you also, Karis. So thanks for joining us. Okay, agenda. Any changes, Dr. Klein?
Yeah.
Okay, good on that. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approval of the minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve. Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay, before we get into public comment here and the superintendent report, I just want to make a comment, as a way of explanation about some things that were traveling around on social media and other places today. And that concerns the WellSpan contract. Just to clarify, the item that the concern was about has been around for many, many years. Not to say that it can't still be questioned, because it can. There will be some changes made to that. There were two parts of that, really, not just one. The first part dealt with school physicals that all our kids are required to obtain for state law. It's been forever. And the way that we operated after numerous attempts to have children who did not fill that in get their physical, the school district would then, with the parents' permission, and there is a permission slip, a parent permission slip that's always been associated with that, they would have their physical paid for by the district, which is, I don't know how many it is, and I don't think there's a whole lot of kids that would involve. So that was the first one. Honestly, WellSpan doesn't care about our parent permission form, I don't think. That's a policy. So as far as their contract went, that did not have to be in the contract, though we have had it as a policy for the district for as long as anybody can remember. The second component of number 4 dealt with suspected child abuse or neglect cases. That case, every school district employee is a mandatory reporter. So we always have to report it. We do not report to doctors, though. We report to children and youth, or I guess the police, or Childline, and then it's in their hands to follow up. Why that is in there, I don't know whether in the past that was necessary, but since it is not necessary, because we don't send people to doctors in that case, then most of that language is going to be removed from the contract. So just to clarify that. And one other thing that I'll say, this is just me speaking, I didn't have time to ask the rest of the board this, but they agree. Some of you have heard about the uproar about a certain national organization that is trying to limit participation by the public. I will tell you that the Pennsylvania School Board Association today came out with a statement totally contrary to that. They are supporting public comment unless it is threatening or severe personal attacks or things like that. And I personally, and I believe the rest of the board, also supports you guys, any citizen that lives in this area has a right to speak. So we don't support those other things that you might have seen, or I don't anyway, that we have seen in the news. I just wanted to state that, and I'm glad that the Pennsylvania School Board Association came out with that statement. Okay, saying that, Dr. Klein, you can. you can amend that or add to it or whatever you'd like to do.
Well, if you want me to add anything about the contract, as you said, I actually asked Mr. Holtzman to go back and look at least a few years. He had gone back and noticed that the contract's pretty much the same since 2016-17 school year. That was prior to me. So anyhow, I did check with our nurse on what the process is, and she said there is a consent form that has to be filled out. The parents, and as you know, since I've been here, one of the biggest things for me is family choice. That's what we've been doing, trying to the best of our ability to give parents a choice. Anyhow, there is and what she said, many times parents will actually request that form and want their child to, they may have missed a deadline or may have been an issue they couldn't go to the doctor, whatever it might have been. And they, that many of them request to have a physical done in school. And we've pretty much had the same person from WellSpan doing it over the last few years. And so right now our policy is the person, the PA or the doctor, whichever one it is, it's been the PA, but I think there's a doctor going to be doing some of it this year. But the, Ms. Barnhart, our head school nurse, she's the one that actually goes in with the doctor or the PA and is with them. She did all last year and went with them to each school. So that's the process of how that works. But again, and this contract depends on us getting the physicals for playing sports, you know, and that's a requirement that we have to have in order to participate in athletics. So it's nothing new that we haven't been doing for a while. And actually what I've done for you, knowing that a couple of the issues that are there, I think you may have a copy of I made some recommended amendments to it. The question of, we are mandated reporters anyhow. Actually, we can be charged with a criminal offense and end up in prison if we don't do our job. And the police are the same way, and I believe the medical field's the same way if there's you suspect child abuse. So with that being said, we could take, which you can see on the copy I have given you, there's a strikeout of that whole bottom part of that number 4 paragraph. The top part shouldn't matter, but that bottom part, I believe, is what's in question. Also, up above that, where it says pursuant this agreement, WellSpan shall perform grade level examinations, kindergarten, 6th, 11th grade, as mandated by the public school code and school health regulations for students unable to obtain services from a family physician within the school district designated time frame with parental consent. I had put that in there to added with parental consent, so there's no confusion. That is how we've operated for some time, but I put that in there so there's no confusion. So as far as what you have there, if you wanted to make those amendments to the contract, we could. You can table it tonight, whatever you want to do. We do need it done. To wait 2 weeks, I'm not sure that's a real big issue, but in order to follow through with some things that we have to do for athletics and all that, we need that contract. They aren't making a lot of money off of us, I don't believe, but.
In progress.
Some of those adjustments, and if you would like to.
There's gonna be no help from them.
But I went ahead and made those changes just so we can move on. Now, I would need to get our solicitor to look through it and make sure. I did talk to him. I didn't tell him what I was going to do, and he said that sounds fine. It would be WellSpan that would have to agree to it.
Doc, ask a question. Can you, I apologize if you said this, the language that you have crossed out,
Yes,
was that specific language in previous agreements?
yes, this has been in it for some
Okay.
time.
All
I'm
right.
just crossing out because it's really no need for it because we are mandated reporters and we have to report. We just don't report to WellSpan. We report to Childline and Children and Youth.
Okay.
And I think when they go, I think if there's a question, they usually typically set it up somehow with the county through Rainbow, I think it's called, up in Chambers. So that's typically where they go. I think even our police officer would. Other questions? So it'll be up to you when we get to that point in the agenda. Nah, that's, oh, quick. Me? Oh.
The
hey,
teacher in the workplace video?
Yeah,
I don't
hang on. I
wanna
have
queue
one.
that up for now.
Yeah,
or-
we'll get that workplace video and then thank you for reminding me. But just so you know the numbers right now, we have seen a significant drop in positive COVID cases in our schools, thank goodness. We have currently, and this is over the last 2 weeks. Now, if it shows with our data from last year, we might see a little bump because we were out of school for 4 days. I swear the kids are safer in school than they are at home. So sorry about that, Mom and Dad, but it seems like it. But anyhow, what we have is we have 11 students and 1 staff member currently over the last 2 weeks that are positive. Some of those will change over the next few days, but the numbers have really dropped significantly. So I wanted to at least give you an update.
Are you doing that now?
Oh, the video. Yes, we actually have a workplace video we wanted to share with you. I was to do that the last time and forgot. So we're going to show it now. Okay. Oh no. Yeah.
Okay, we'll
All
have to
right.
try again. Hopefully the third time will be a charm. We'll try again. Okay, so now it's time for public comment. As always, or for anybody who does not know, please limit your comments to 5 minutes. Address. And everybody's welcome to come take turns. And whoever would like to start. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. You probably know me by now. My name's Jim Meadows. I'm from Woodley Drive here in Waynesboro. This is the 4th time that I have come before the board. And I thank you for last week, the special at the meeting, we were able to discuss it in real detail. And even though it's been denied, I am here tonight to talk about the second best thing. And I'd like to let the parents know that there is a bill that came out of the State House, HB 1332. And it's titled the Transparency in Curriculum. And what it essentially does is requires the school board to publish on a public website all the curriculum that's being taught in that district. Of course, that's got to go over to the Senate to get voted on, the state Senate. So I'm encouraging all parents tonight, you know, we want to know what's being taught to our children. And without visual evidence of that, the next best thing we do, and I know I have your assurance, and I'm not doubting that one bit, but I speak for whole districts throughout the states. If you would call your state senator and ask them to support House Bill 1332, I think it would go a long way with parents being able to know what's going on with the teaching of their children. So that's is what I'm here for. But I do want to say the last 4 times I've been here, have I been violent? Have I harassed any of you? Have any of you felt threatened by me? No, I simply came to protest the CRT. And as long as I have that right to peacefully protest, then we will be fine. But as you know, there's federal movement right now to label parents that are questioning, that come to school boards like this, as domestic terrorists. It's an outreach and it's an overstep on the Constitution of our country. So I just want to say, we're come in peace, and we want to see what our kids are being taught. And we want to have a say. If we don't really like something, we could come forth and say we don't like it. So that's all I have. That's HB 1332. And a call to your state senator would help a long way in getting that out there. It's the next best thing to a camera, but it's good. And I hope school board supports it as well. Thank you.
Good evening. Margie Schaefer, 13593 Monterey Lane, Blue Ridge Summit, Pennsylvania. We notice some of our papers tonight. My husband and I just have received natural immunity, and we're really glad about that. Now, you might remember the very first evening I was here, we were here and you had your wonderful award ceremony, and I have quite an athletic music background. I think these are all wonderful programs. And this $9,500, I'd rather see that put into music, because my 7-month-old and 7-year-old grandchildren love music, and we play music every day. So when this WellSpan Health contract came out, I find it very interesting. I'm the parent of a child who at age 10 came down with juvenile diabetes. We were in the Washington Smithsburg School District. We moved a football field into Pennsylvania. And he was the first insulin pump. Dr. Rishi got him on the first insulin pump here in Waynesboro. He did well. Life was good again. We didn't need anything but a school nurse to deal with that. And then at age 14, after the hepatitis B injection, he grew tumors out of his 4th and 5th ribs. He was diagnosed with leukemia. The wrong type of leukemia, persevered 2 years and 8 months of chemotherapy at Hershey to only be told that he was misdiagnosed. Needed a bone marrow transplant. That was his best chance for life at 14. I don't see eyes looking in my eyes. That's hard news to take, isn't it? Thank you for making me feel like you're listening. So my question is, why are we spending this money when school nurses were fine? I met regularly with his teachers at the beginning of each year. We set up plans. He was well provided for. And I believe school nurses are a much better use of our money. I'm also here representing the PCIC. Great, you're just talking about our bill on the Illinois lobby up at Capitol. This was going, we sent about 5,000 of these out to the House Education Committee because that's what education is supposed to be doing. Curriculum. I was always curriculum specialist at my 45 years of teaching. Pharmaceutical, I'm going to read this. Pharmaceutical marketing and sales have no business in public schools. Shows a picture of a Pennsylvania public school man, professional, shaking hands with pharma and the little child beneath them with dollar signs on her body. The Pennsylvania public school system is using our tax dollars to push pharmaceutical agendas on our children in spite of the disapproval of parents. Medical testing, such as this PCR testing, my doctor who works off the grid doesn't take any insurance, doesn't have to listen to the CDC and the FDA. I don't think I'm contagious. I know I'm not. I wouldn't be here. So at any rate, he doesn't believe in, the testing is so skewed, as is even the antibody testing. I will have my antibodies done in December. But medical testing, vaccine clinics, and pharma marketing curriculum do not belong in our schools. So we demand a halt to medical testing, vaccine clinics, and medical marketing in Pennsylvania schools. So each of I arranged 4, in my hoarse voice, 4 meetings with education. We're working on the Democrats now because the Republicans are pretty much knowledgeable about this. Last 5 years, we've gotten to them. So this thing that you have here, I'm going to send an email. I'd love for someone to meet with me. I have asked for a meeting for 3 or 4 years. Nobody will meet with me. I would like to know when it began, why it began, what is the history. I do know that this VAERS COVID vaccine myopericarditis report, which starts at age 12, because our little 5 to 11-year-olds are about to receive this vaccine. Look at these statistics. Age 12, we've had 50 deaths. Age 13, excuse me, I'm not going to say deaths. We've had myopericarditis. That's an inflammation. It's a heart attack. Inflammation of the heart muscle. Many of these are athletes who have been told to be resting. They may never, ever be able to be athletes again. If I didn't have my athletics when I was in school, who knows what I would have gotten into? I'm going to wrap it up. We've got up to 200. The highest age is between 17 and 18. Over 200 children have pericarditis. And you know that came up in the airline pilots too and all that this week if you were listening. So my last thing, kindergarten, 6th grade, 11th grade. It doesn't take brain surgery to see that those are the high vaccine years. That's the year that they get the jabs a lot. And we've created this WellSpan protocol to hit those as well checks. And we know that pharmaceutical checks, pediatricians, well checks are vaccine checks. Thank you. And I would like to have a meeting with somebody. I've been asking for at least 4 years.
Hello, my name is America Brocious, 13224 Delaware Circle in Waynesboro. The reason I wanted to speak was specifically in regards to that WellSpan contract. I think just because we've always done things a certain way doesn't mean that we always have to do it the same way forever. I think nowadays with needing the need for more transparency and accountability, it's important that this contract be detailed. What I find extremely challenging is that our solicitor gave suggestions in regards to the mask exemption that had to be extremely detailed. And yet now we are talking about medical treatments, and there's very little details written into the contract. So my suggestion would be that we stop paying WellSpan $9,500 to take up space in our schools when the high school is directly across the street from the hospital and WellSpan facility urgent care. That we acknowledge that there are children who have parents that are not getting their children's exams. But I know for a fact when I take my children to get their yearly exams for kindergarten, 6th grade, and 11th grade, they're not only looked at in the eyes and the ears and the nose, they're given an eye vision check, they're giving a hearing test, their bodies are checked top to bottom, and they are also given vaccines. And there's not an issue necessarily about a child receiving vaccines. The issue is that not only do parents need to consent to it, as you stated, there would be a parental form that is signed, but if a parent is going to sign that form, why can't the school bus these children who have not met the due date? Why can't they take the bus across the street to get it done with the school nurse at the WellSpan facilities? It takes the liability off of the school, and it also saves the school money. Because even though they're paying for a bus or a small van to transport these children over there for a scheduled time to get it done and then get back to class, it saves money because we're not having to house WellSpan in our district. I'm also need to say that if you are going to enter into this agreement, I do believe that details are absolutely necessary. Having it open-ended allows for more things to be added. I noticed that it says they are allowed to give treatment. Well, what type of treatment is that? Is that Tylenol? Is that an EpiPen? Is that going to be treatment for COVID testing or COVID vaccines? What does this look like on down the road? School nurses can make the referral. We can go directly across the school if you don't want them walking. And I also recently heard one board member say that you create the environment that you want. The environment to continue to allow parents to mooch off of the school system is unacceptable. The kids need to be cared for. We have a hospital right across the street. It's a very convenient location. We don't need to continue to allow families to think that they're just going to put the bill on the school district. We have to stop that expense so that our school district can be using the funds in other areas. So please consider changing that contract to be more detail oriented for the liability of the school district and also to prevent the overreach of WellSpan as a conglomerate.
Anybody else like to speak today?
Hi, good evening. Joseph Miller, Midvale Road, Rouserville. I was hoping, and I know you guys don't really like a question and answer, but I know you mentioned, I appreciate what you said, Dr. Klein, with regard to that letter that was written by the National School Board Association. You mentioned the Pennsylvania School Board Association made a statement to the contrary, I guess. Forgive me for not understanding. So these associations are separate from each other, and as a school board, you are affiliated with the Pennsylvania School Board Association and not the national one? Is that?
Not the National School Board Association is not the one that made the I'm the one that made those comments, not Dr. Klein.
Oh, I apologize.
The original statement with the domestic terrorist, as Mr. Meadows referred to,
Yes.
was not a school board association. I don't believe. The Pennsylvania Association is not agreeing with the organization that made those comments.
Oh,
Clarify what you're asking.
yeah, I have the letter.
We are affiliated with the Pennsylvania School Board Association. That's correct.
Okay, that's what I was making sure of. Because, originally before, and again, that's good that you speak up sooner because the whole night will go quicker. Yes, it was from the National School Board Association, the NSBA. It was on September 29th. Letter written to the President of the United States.
That was the
It was. And so obviously being that you all are a school board, that raises red flags in our eyes because they're saying here, education leaders are under an immediate threat. They're looking for immediate assistance because of propaganda. And like the gentleman mentioned, looking at people like us as domestic terrorists, so to speak, or equating us with that. So that was what I was hoping to clarify, and I appreciate you bringing that up. And knowing that you are not affiliated with this organization helps me feel a little better about it. So that's all I wanted to say, and I'm glad to hear that you don't view us in that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else today? Okay. Yeah, okay.
All right, thanks for giving us the opportunity for public comment. My name is Debbie Tony. I live at 7235 Furnace Road in Waynesboro. I sent you all an email, but it was absolutely last minute and it was quite lengthy, so I don't expect that you had the time to read it. I'm concerned about this WellSpan clinic in our school. I do not think it's necessary. I particularly had a problem with point 4 in the agreement, which I understand you're talking about amending. I also noticed when I was typing this and I was trying to pull up the PA codes, I was noticing that the verbiage used is identical in some places, but things were omitted. The things that were omitted are completely alarming, because in your contract, you state that that you can go back if you're just following the PA code. It's not limited to it. So what is in the PA code and what you omitted is particularly important. It said that in the PA code, it said that the reporting, it shall be reported to the parents or guardians who shall be requested to have the child examined by their family physician. We omitted that in the school district verbiage. So
I think you're confusing the policy with the contract. The policy.
Right, I understand, but
we do
the
that.
contract, the doctor is going to operate independently to some degree under his medical license or her medical license. They'll have the authority to do that. So I'm going to ramble, I know, but I want to give you the example too. My daughter, who's a senior, she said, "Oh yeah, Mom, in 10th grade, Chambersburg has a clinic and they came and talked to our health class. She told us how we could get birth control and anything we wanted." I mean, this is from the Chambersburg clinic. And if you think that will not happen here and that parents don't care about that and want to be involved in those decisions for our kids, we're counting on you guys to help us as parents. You always want our help. Help us be parents. Don't undermine and usurp our authority with our kids. It just does not be. The other thing that was omitted, and I'm not confusing, because in your contract, you say that you can follow the duties, you can follow the PA code. You don't have to list it. You say that in the contract. Okay, so under the PA code, one of the duties under 23.32, section C, duties, it says the school physicians shall vaccinate children of indigent parents, revaccinate children with temporary vaccination. I'm not a lawyer, but I can certainly see that that is one of the duties defined in the PA code. And you guys would be, this system would be perfectly within their right to institute those things. And if our states mandate that anybody over 12 can make this decision, we can be usurped. And we're asking you to represent us as the parents, not to represent the school district, not to represent the administrators. You school board members are elected to represent us, right? Not the administrators, not the teachers, and not the health system. So represent us. Thank you.
Robin Pfizer, live at 11656 Ironwood Drive, Waynesboro, Pennsylvania. I'm also concerned about the issues that was discussed. WellSpan shall perform the required examinations of children in specified grades. Then it also says they shall examine children who appear to deviate from their normal health or growth and development pattern, and such examinations shall be given at the request of the administrator, a teacher, or a nurse, or under the initiative of WellSpan.
Just to clarify, that's been eliminated.
So is that what you were talking about earlier that you
Yes,
struck?
yes.
Okay. Good. I would like to know why they have to be housed inside the school. And are you going to house them at the elementary schools at one day, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday? They're going to be here, there, or the other? They're going to be at the high school? They're going to be at the middle school? How's this going to work? Do we know?
I will tell you, I think there are board members, including myself, that I think the doctor has been doing some of these things in elementary and high school and since I was in school. It really hasn't changed. I think we have a board member that was even had met with a doctor.
I will speak to that. I
Okay.
graduated from Waynesboro in 1973. And you needed a physical entering junior year, and for whatever reason, my parents must have forgotten or missed doing it. They called me one day. The doctor would just come to the high school like one day a week, and I got called down, and Dr. Baylor gave me a physical. Nothing intrusive. I mean, he probably looked in my mouth, my ears, checked my blood pressure, listened to my heart and lungs, and that was it. I mean, this was 1971. Nothing is changing. They're just going to give physicals if the parent has not done it.
Does the parent have to consent
I
prior
don't
to that
know.
physical?
I don't think my parents had a problem with it at all.
We have a consent form. The parent has to do we won't allow it unless the consent form is done. Our nurse is in there with any student where we have a student where the parent gave consent. The nurse is, our employee is in with the doctor or the PA at the time. So without that consent form, we don't have them done.
Well, the reason I asked that is because as a kid, which was a long time ago, I was given a smallpox vaccine without my parents' knowledge, permission, or after the fact knowledge. So they had no way to look to see if I was receiving any kind of adverse effect. And that was a different time, but when you have some open-ended things going on, and it's not that I distrust the judgment of this particular board or that particular doctor, but we're signing on for things for the future too. So a different board may agree to a different group of roles, and a different doctor may agree to a different set of criterion. We couldn't trust the doctor for the Olympics, not to molest the Olympian girls. So even though you may think I'm comparing apples and oranges, it's a concern when you're going to do a physical exam of a student in a school setting, you're taking on an incredible amount of liability, I think. And it's not a liability I would want. And just like the authorization form that was filled out for the mask mandate waiver was altered kind of at the last minute from the previous one, this can be altered too. And we're going to get back to the money issue here. And I know I'm rambling, but I wrote a check for $7,951.44 for my school taxes this year. And that's because I got the discount because I paid it before August 1st. So all of my money, if you just took it out of that package, would be going to this $9,500 bill, which I think could be spent much better. I think you need to put the onus back on the parents. Get your child their physical, like they're required, meet the mandates of the school. Every time you take the responsibility away from them and put it here, that just means they can fluff off some more. And I don't think that's right. And I don't think we should be paying for their labs. And there's health departments, there's other places for kids that the money's not available for, where they can get their physicals, that we shouldn't be picking up that tab.
Thank you. Like to speak?
Ms. Kelly McGuire. I'm from 8430 Sheffield Manor Boulevard in Waynesboro. And I think I want to address two things. Number one, I keep hearing about back then, whose life is the same before COVID? Nobody's the same before COVID. So many things have changed, especially in the medical world. We have a governor that just loves to change things like at the snap of a finger. And when we leave doors open and vague words and we allow that the medical world into our schools, it can just so happen so easily. Things are not the same as the 1970s at all, not at all. And also, I have to say, I feel a little jaded against WellSpan simply because my family has Lyme. My daughter, she was so sick. My son, he lost 40 days of school, and that was a lot of us trying to figure out what was going on. And WellSpan telling me that we were doing things wrong. We weren't doing things wrong. They didn't understand Lyme. They told me there was no such thing, and it was in my kid's head. So WellSpan is not the answer as far as medical either for everybody. And it scares me to death when I have my son in school and they don't understand an illness he has and an examination or whatever. One of the things he has is Bartonella. And that's when you have scratches on your body. Now, if they're going to call and see that on an examination, it looks like these lines or stretch marks is what it looks like. So if they have something in there that they don't understand, what's going to happen with that too? There's one person that I allowed to see my child. Now, I understand that there's parental consent in there, but I did see the words the school's initiative, which is that being taken out as the school's initiative. Okay. And then other duties in there. What the heck is other duties? You know, that leaves so much open for the governor to allow to come in. I'll tell you, I was not very passionate about this stuff before my children had Lyme. And then my whole world changed because of it in the medical world and the view of the Western medicine and all that sort of stuff. So it in the schools is different for me before COVID and before Lyme, because just keeping on saying that it's not the way, that's not how it was for me. It's simply not how it is now since things have changed so much, which is why we need to pay such close attention to the way that this world is going. So, and I also just want to say thank you to people who do respond to emails, because it really, 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 really means a lot when there's people that are doing that. So I just wanted to say thank you for that too.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Tamia Newcomer, 113 South Church Street, Waynesboro. This is my second meeting. The first one was dealing with the mask requirements. So I have been tagged and emailed about this WellSpan contract. I read some of it and I had seen that alarmed me when it said about a child's academic levels decreasing, where the district or whoever's in charge can say that my child needs an evaluation and they can do that without my consent. There was something on there about that. I want to question that about that. Is that something that's true or is?
That's all.
Okay, so is there already a new paper that's out that we can see or?
There is, the board has the new statement. My guess is we're going to end up tabling this until the next meeting, but basically it's eliminating the second part of question number, or point number 4, and it's adding parental consent specifically, even though we were already doing it, to the top of that.
Okay.
So that's.
All right, I just want to make sure that it's something we'll be able to go look at later to make sure everything's changed, or in case there's anything else we have questions about. Another thing is, like, I didn't see any problem with my kids going to this school district and everything seems to be fine, but like with all this stuff going on, it makes me want to send my children with a cell phone to school and tell them if someone wants to touch you or jab you with a needle, that you are to immediately contact me. And if so, I will show up at the school and they can try to touch me, because I don't appreciate and I don't want the stress. There's so much stress in this world. And now I got to stress if my child's going to be touched at school behind my back. Like, there's just too much unknown. You got all this sexual molestation and everything else going on. And then these people are going to come to the school who my children don't know because they see a regular doctor. So assuming you guys are changing this to, with parent consent and these other children that can't get a physical with their doctor, that these are going to be the only ones. I just want to make sure that that's exactly how it's going to be, because if not, it's going to be bad. I can't explain it, but I mean, there's people probably going to be pulling their kids out of school. And so this definitely needs to be put into detail so that we completely understand everything that will be going on with our children. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, I believe we have one more in the back who would like to speak. Come on down, please.
Yes, my name is Heather Schillingberg. I live at 303 Reynolds Avenue in Mont Alto. And I just have first 2 yes or no questions. Number 1, the WellSpan policy or agreement that you guys are talking about, is this something that we've had before or is this new?
Oh, it's old.
It's new.
Right. No,
Okay.
it's not new.
No, it's
old.
not.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's old.
so when the kids got their school physicals through the school before, like for their sports and such, was it done through WellSpan? Okay. So I guess what my question now would be is, why is there so much other stuff that is added to this other than just for physicals for school? It seems like this is a, what's that?
Covers, the agreement with WellSpan covers more than just sports physical.
And was it always more than just the sports
Yes.
physicals?
Yes.
Like what?
Like these children who don't get their physicals in for kindergarten and sixth grade and junior year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then this should be changed to reflect as such. It should be stated that it is only for the sports physicals. It should only be for the physicals, for the classes, the grades in which that they need them. Otherwise, take the money that you're going to spend giving to WellSpan every single year, give it to the teachers who are already underpaid enough as it is and deal with so much crap. You have this whole stealing from the bathroom issue that's going on. It sounds to me like you need more than just Officer Gordon here to police the kids that are here at this school. It seems like some teachers just don't pay attention to the kids that are doing whatever they want to do. You've got people that need to watch for bullying. Corinne brought up all the kids leading each other around the hallways, parading about. Why are you worried with that when there's kids that come to school? One girl's a bigger girl, wears leggings. She's told she's got to change, but yet one who's a little bit smaller doesn't have to. You cannot pick and choose the rules that are followed for everybody. And this, I believe, should be more detailed than it is, because this sounds as though it's something brand new that you guys are opening yourself up to a whole mess with. Because if you open this up to have WellSpan come in, and again, they vaccinate my kid and I never gave permission, there will be an issue. And I'm not the only one who will be at the door, banging on the door. And I'm not saying that's what you guys are planning, but as you already know, certain states have mandated that children have to get the COVID vaccine or they can't attend school. Should not be the state's decision to say that. Vaccines have not been something that you have to go to school in a long time. Why start now and why start with this one? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak? We will have public comment at the end of the meeting tonight, but we've gone past our 30 minutes. So appreciate everybody's comments up to this point. And again, we have another 30 at the end if anybody would like to speak. At this point, though, we'll move on now to the board reports. We have a board report.
Just that we have policy on Wednesday at 1 o'clock. And if anybody has anything they want us to look at, to let us know. And I sent that out to admit today.
Okay.
Is it this week or next week? Isn't it the 20th? Isn't that next Wednesday? It's next week.
Next Wednesday.
Next, okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't.
Next Wednesday.
20th.
Next Wednesday.
Okay.
Anybody else? We talk about facilities.
We had facilities October 4th, so week from yesterday previous. There's a number of different things that we looked at regarding our facilities, and I believe there's one item coming to you tonight, coming to the board.
Anybody else have anything? Okay. This isn't really a board report, but I would like to mention that we did have a real positive, we had an athlete that did extremely well. We had Ella Lowry, who is qualifying for states in golf. She'll be going to, where's she going? I don't know.
If it's Hershey, and actually it's on the overnight trips approval. So we were very,
Oh, okay.
we were very forthcoming in that information with the understanding that.
Well, I still like reporting on
Yeah.
it, so that's
So, yeah,
that's a
I
good
believe
thing.
it's in
So-
Hershey, if I'm reading the information correctly.
Okay.
So,
Okay, great. So good for Ella, and had a lot of exceptional golfers through the years, and at least one state champion. So good luck to Ella. Okay, now for the student rep report.
All right, so hi, everyone. I just wanted to follow up last week. I did mention the vandalism that had been happening in our bathrooms. We had instituted measures such as like signing out and leaving phones in the classroom to discourage kids from stealing things and posting about it. And I believe the situation has improved on that front. I think that that helped a lot. The elementary school track meet was yesterday. We had pretty good weather. It was a little cloudy, but we had a good turnout. Everything ran smoothly, and I think everyone had a good time. I know I did. And there's not much else. Again, congratulations to Ella. We're all very happy for her and recognize that it's a huge achievement placing third. And I think that's all I have tonight.
You? Okay, we're not going to executive session.
Right.
We had executive session before the meeting, so we don't need to do that. Then we will be having one at the end that we won't come back
On
from.
personnel.
Oh, personnel. Okay, so moving on to the business. First of all, student waivers. Dr. Centerheim.
thank you, Mrs. Harrell. I'd like to direct your attention to the student waivers. The recommendation is to approve both with student waivers as discussed in executive session prior to the meeting.
Second.
Questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Personnel, Dr. Stern.
Thank you, Mrs. Harrell. I'd like to direct your attention to the two items of personnel, resignation of support staff resignation of support staff, appointment of support staff, additional appointments of support staff, change of hours, appointment of extracurricular, appointments of game personnel, appointments of substitute support staff. In addition, we have several leaves for approval. Recommendation is to approve as listed.
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those that nay, that would be me. I vote nay on that. Okay, on to bus drivers. Mr. Holtzman.
Thank you. We have for your discussion and action, 1 driver from Eclipse and 4 drivers for the criteria for insurance and for background.
Motion?
Approve.
Second.
Questions? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Athletic handbook, whatever that would be.
That-
Dr. Sternheim?
I believe so, yes. So we had approved the athletic handbook in August of 2021. There were some clerical errors in the handbook, so therefore we are submitting the handbook once again for approval at tonight's meeting. Recommendation is approve as listed.
Questions? Motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Now we have the school physician contract.
And as you know, we've made recommendations to that, for changes in that. And I want to make sure I'm clear on this and that I haven't misled anyone on this, but the physician contract is completely separate from the clinic. Our school clinic in this building over in the early learning wing is it's only our staff that goes there. And their families. It's not open to students, but I wanted to make sure that was clear. It doesn't mean it can't be, but we don't do that right now. It's not something we have done anything else. It's always been for our staff. So I want to make sure it's clear that that clinic's only been for our staff. And the reason it was put in place is that we had, over the years, we have found that it's hard to get substitutes. We've had a number of staff out over the years for being sick and a lot of other just physical issues. And what we tried to do is make it convenient to bring that clinic here in order for our staff to have a convenient visit. Now, right now it hasn't been open hardly at all for staff because they just can't staff it. They did do some flu vaccinations for those staff members who wanted it. But other than that, I wanted to make sure that was clear. The contract is basically for physicals for athletics and also to help parents that aren't meeting the requirement of the physicals for the kindergarten, 6th and 11th grade.
Okay, all right, so we have had lots of discussion on this. I will leave it up to the board whether you want to table this or to postpone it till the next meeting. So if you would like to, well, either way, make a motion either way, to either table or to vote tonight. Just for clarification for anyone in the audience, if you looked at the copy of it, number 4 is the only thing that would be changed on the contract. We would add with parent consent, which is the end of the last sentence before the immunizations and other medical testings are the responsibility of the parent. And anything after the parenthesis is eliminated from number 4. So that's the suggestion by the administration that we would go with or not. But just so we're clear as well as anybody in the audience. So somebody please either make a motion to vote on it now or to table it.
We'll discuss after that motion is made.
Yes.
Okay.
Kindergarten teacher in the district starting in 1971.
Could you perhaps make a motion first, Mrs. Bechtel, and then we can, okay, to vote now to approve the as is. Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, now we're ready for discussion. Go
As
ahead,
a
Ms.
former
Bechtel.
kindergarten teacher in the district starting in 1971, every year I would have possibly 2 children in each of my classes
that didn't get the physical. Either all the time, these children might be homeless. The parents didn't have transportation to take their children to a doctor. The free clinic was up in Chambersburg and they didn't have any way to get their child up there. So having the physical done in the school was the only way they could do it. The far as getting shots, some parents chose not to do that and for a religious and medical reason. We had forms that they filled out. I did that every year for my children. They would bring them in, and sometime in November or January, the nurse would come and take the two children down to the nurse's room. The doctor came there and gave the child the physical. The parents approved that before. We've never done anything underhanded. We've always had the parents. They didn't sign the paper, when the physician sometimes had to come back 2 or 3 times till we got the paper signed, because parents don't always sign papers right away. So this isn't something new. This is something we have done for a long, long time. And it's part of the school code that children have to have this. And it's for their safety and for your children's safety too.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Spakiel. Dr. Royer.
So I guess my question is that in the past, this agreement couldn't have been with WellSpan.
No, it was with Summit Health, and it's. I
Okay,
believe
but my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Sternheim, you might be able to help me. In the past, and I don't know how far I would have to go back, this agreement was with a specific doctor.
Yes.
And that's normally the
Okay.
way it works.
Okay, so it is different.
It is, it was, and when I was at Hooverville as a principal, I would coordinate this. It's actually a yearly contract. At times, we had contracted with an individual doctor. At times, it was with Summit Health. Right now, it's WellSpan, but normally it's the same PA or physician that comes to the school. And I believe we are required to have a school physician at football games.
Yes, that's in number
And
5.
So it's the same individual, and that individual is not here unless we're asking that individual to come to a football game, or let's say at Summit View, we have 4 students who need a physical. And then the doctor would be at
Right,
Summit View.
I understand. I just wanted to clarify that I think in some people's eyes, a contract with an individual person with a name on a contract may feel a little bit different than a contract with WellSpan as an entity. And I know we can't have a specific person.
Yeah,
We
I
had
believe.
trouble.
Yeah,
We had trouble early on finding.
I understand
Yeah,
that. And I agree with the fact that we have to have this, that we need somebody to be able to do those physicals, and we have to have someone at football games and Special Olympics and all the things that are outlined. But I do believe that given the current situation that we find ourselves in, and given that I do believe the community's trust in the state and in medical organizations has perhaps been compromised, I do think there is a good reason to have this be specific. And I don't see any reason why this couldn't be specific as to what is permitted to be done and what is not permitted to be done, and the specific language. And I also think if we're going to make a change that's substantial, we should have the full document available to the public before we vote on it.
Dr. Royer, I did not hear the last thing you said.
With the last sentence?
The last sentence.
I said that I think that if we, given the concern of the public, if we are going to make a change in a document, which is a pretty substantial change, and I'm not seeing the change in here about parent permission. I must be missing something.
Look where it's number 4. Okay. Says 1, 2, 3, 4th line down after the word frame with parent
With parent.
Okay, but that's only for the physicals. Okay. Well,
That's all we do.
yeah. I think we can, I personally think we can make it more specific, but regardless of that, I think that the document, as we're passing it, should be available to the public.
All of this was on the agenda,
Yeah.
right?
That's why we're having a conversation.
Okay.
But not this crossed out document.
With that,
No,
with the
no.
exception of number 4 and being crossed out, correct?
Is there any way that we could, the document from the beginning could specify that parental consent at the forefront, like prior to the beginning of it?
Yeah, I would think you can put it
So
anywhere.
where would you like to put it?
Doesn't this paper do that?
This is
the contract.
Okay,
She's asking within the contract.
I see. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, you
So
know,
since we
again, there's a
are-
lot of language there. Are we basically saying, and as I said, I understand the need for this, Dr. Klein, but are we saying that anything in here, nothing will be done without parent consent?
That is how we have operated.
Then I think that should be the first sentence. I mean, I think that would help people feel clear and have more trust in the document rather than having it embedded in the middle.
Okay.
Yep.
So.
That's
if
why
you're-
we had this process as a board, that you go through this, put it out to the public, let them give their feedback as it did today. And that's what's good about this process in the state of how to address those. And I think the board has listened.
Well, and I understand all this is, I understand all this is, has to be there, but again, in reading it closely word by word, I can see some of the concern. But again, as far as the money goes, we have to have some of these things by law in place.
So therefore you want to add a number, like before number 1? You want to add number 1 and simply say, all of these terms will be conditional. All of these stipulations involving students will be conditional on parental consent.
Or.
Sorry, I was saying if we want to add another number that would say something to the effect of all of these items that impact students require parental consent, parental consent.
Yeah, I would feel more comfortable because I am not sure. Kim just said that she had a physical and she doesn't think her parents did give consent. I mean, I don't know.
That's a long time ago.
Well, I don't know, but I don't know what happens now. I mean, when the doctor shows
I
up, if
know as a-
athletes show up, are they allowed to have one without parent consent? I don't
No,
know.
they can't. At least when I was teaching for those 35 years, we had to have that parent consent.
Okay, well, I don't think anybody would think it's a problem to add that. I think that's a problem to add that. The question is simply where are we going to put it? So where would you like to put it? All right. You want to have it after this agreement is based on the following terms and conditions? And make
Sure.
another sentence that says,
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right, I gotta
where it
write it. All,
And we can have our solicitor review it.
Or you
Oh,
can say,
Sure.
nothing within this agreement can occur without prior parent permission.
concerning students. Some of them, it's like give advice.
Right.
Okay, nothing in this agreement that concerns students will be done without parental consent. Okay? Got that, Ms. Kuzer? Okay, so, Mrs. Bechtel, are you okay with making your
Yes.
motion with that provision?
Yeah.
And Ms. Zimmerman, did you second that?
I
Okay.
second that.
Okay.
And I'm fine with that.
Okay, so that is the new motion then with that. Okay, we still have any time for more discussion? Do we have any other discussion? Okay, if not, then we'll go ahead and call for a vote. We'll do roll call on this, Ms. Kuzer.
Mrs. Sullivan? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mrs. Sullivan?
So if at this point, let's get clear on this. If I vote yes, we pass it tonight.
That's correct.
If I vote no, we wait 2 weeks and have our solicitor look at it and we bring it back again.
Well,
Only, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, if it gets voted down, it's voted down, and then it can only come back if somebody who voted no
Right, would,
brings it back up again.
Okay, so I would do that. I would bring it back.
So you're going to say no?
Yeah, I'm gonna say no.
Okay.
For tonight, yeah. But I'm gonna bring it.
Miles,
Yes.
Mr. Wenger,
No for tonight.
Mrs. Straight,
No.
Mrs. Zimmerman,
I am going to say yes, but I'm going to clarify that I listened to the people who spoke, and I think it is excellent that we have clarified the fact that it is, everything will be done with parental consent. I am voting yes. However, I must say that we listened, or I listened to everything that was said. And I thank you for bringing, you know, all those thoughts to us. I think it is also good that we have very clearly clarified that everything will be done with parental consent, even though I believe our school district has done that in the most recent years. Everything has been done with parental consent. There is nothing here that has changed, and I don't think anything will change. Nothing will be done without parental consent. There will be no vaccinations given, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, which some of you are so afraid is going to happen.
Okay, thank you, Ms.
Thank you
Zimmerman.
very much, and so I'm voting yes.
Thank you. Ms. Kuzer?
Mrs. Bakedel,
Yes.
Mr. McDonald,
Yes.
Dr. Royer,
No.
Mrs. Harold.
Yes. So the motion passes. Thank you. Good conversation. And if it arises for a similar type discussion, we will have that in the future. Okay, on to
Mrs.
overnight.
Harold,
Yes.
could we make sure that, maybe I'm asking Dr. Klein, is it possible that the revised document be placed somewhere
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
so that parents can view it?
Yep, we would have probably done that anyhow to make sure.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. On to overnight trips. Dr. Sternheim.
Thank you, Mrs. Harold. On the agenda, you have two proposals of the FBLA overnight trip request. And then we were very optimistic, as well as the Gulf overnight trip. So the recommendation is approve both trips as listed.
We have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, old generators, that Mr. Holtzman.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We have two old emergency generators that we replaced at the elementary schools. This is at Summit View and Fairview. We have a company that is interested. It's a nonprofit, non-traditional, tax exempt charity. They've asked for permission to go ahead and remove those from the buildings at their cost and for a mission trip of some sort. We do review those against the federal and state department lists, and of course, they're not on the list, which is good. Kind of our backup check. We're asking for permission. We did review this with the facilities committee. The company itself is called the International Technical Electric and Construction.
Thank you. Any comments, Mr. Winger?
And I'm sorry, I had a little trouble hearing you, Mr. Holtzman, but basically the facilities committee is recommending that we donate these generators that we have replaced. It's exciting to think that even though they don't meet our needs anymore and they're older, that they can be used in another country, in a mission somewhere. So that they are willing to come and get them, that is an exciting thing.
And it saves us money not to have to take out, get rid of them.
That's correct, right? We don't have to incur the cost to remove them. And again, the one generator is 50 years old, the other one's 45 years old. So they do have a few years on.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So approved.
So moved.
Okay, so actually, Simmer, did you make the motion?
I said
Okay, yeah,
moved,
we're
yeah.
We gotta really lean into
It's
these
okay.
mics here.
It's fine.
Seconded by Mrs. Bigdell. Okay, any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. I just hit the wrong button there, Ms. Kuzer. Make me an eye on that. I'm not an abstain. Okay, Apple lease addendum.
Mr. Erickson.
Mr. Erickson, or whoever.
I thought he was still here.
I thought he said,
Nick?
I thought he said he might be going.
Okay, Jason, anyone in the booth?
Anybody know anything about this Apple lease?
Right, I think we can probably talk to it. This is, between Dr. Sterner, Han and I, this is for
Okay.
replacement of computer devices that they have in the music program. This is for items that were end of life, meaning they cannot continue to be supported. So to continue running that program, which would start in the spring of this coming year with the next semester, we have to replace the equipment in that area. So that's what the request is here.
I believe this was a table item from
It was.
earlier, and now it's getting back that we have more information about how many kids are taking the class, qualifications of our new teacher and that kind of thing. Okay, do we
Yes,
have a
ma'am.
motion?
So moved.
Second. Questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Financials, Mr. Holtzman.
Yes, ma'am. We have for your discussion and action, we have the cafeteria and board general fund bills as well as requisitions. And then we also have exonerations for the per capita and the occupation tax.
Motion?
To approve. Second.
Questions for Mr. Holtzman? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Leighton Cabinet, Dr. Klein.
No, is the video, are we able? It's ready.
Exoneration?
Let's go ahead and bring up the video.
What I do, love working with patients and helping people feel better.
First of all, I'd like to welcome you to Waynesboro.
Hi, Josh Brown.
Jordan Fisher, how are you doing?
Nice to meet you. I'm glad to have you here today at JB Technical Solutions Incorporated.
My name is Matt, and I'm a physical therapist here with Dreher Physical Therapy. I absolutely love what I do, love working with patients and helping people feel better.
First of all, I'd like to welcome you to Waynesboro's water treatment plant. My name is Gordon Crookshanks. I am the operations manager for the borough of Waynesboro, and this is the facility that I'm in charge of.
Teacher in the workplace does three things. First thing is it enhances classroom instruction. So our teachers were tasked with finding ways to take what they've learned and experienced and then make it a part of their curriculum. Second thing is enhanced student learning. So obviously it's okay to teach something, but obviously the end result would be that our students become more aware of the options out there from a career standpoint, how it relates to the course that they're taking with that particular teacher, and then the steps necessary to possibly choose that as a career then.
For high school students, if they have any interest at all, you need to have just a little bit of background in science, a little bit of mathematics, and obviously an interest in the environment and serving your community, because that's really what we do. We serve our community with safe drinking water. Every community needs that, and it's quite a noble field to get into.
And then third is just an overall career readiness, the ability to understand what next steps look like. What are you preparing yourself for upon graduation? And so the career readiness factor is, not everybody's going to go to college. So we kind of take the philosophy that every kid needs to be ready to enter the workforce upon graduation. If they choose to do additional education beyond that, that's great.
Right now, there's two career paths for physical therapy. You have the physical therapist and you have the physical therapy assistant. The physical therapy assistant route right now is a 2-year associate's degree, and then you can become a licensed therapist as long as you pass the licensure exam. The physical therapist route is a 4-year bachelor's degree, followed by 3 years of graduate school, and that is a doctorate degree.
How many years would you say you have in technical design and CAD? And I guess where did you first begin with? Was it from in high school or was it technical school?
I did start my drafting time while I was in high school. I knew that I wanted to go to college. I wanted to be an engineer. And I had fallen in love in about 8th grade with computer-aided design.
One class I would love to take in high school was anatomy and physiology, if you like to perform dissections, if you like to really explore different systems of other animals and as well as in the body. Physical therapy will certainly open your mind and really get you much more interested and give you that hunger for more knowledge in that area there.
I think it answers that question of why are we learning this, helping to make the learning relevant to the students so that they're eager and excited about what they're learning and helping them to start thinking about what their next steps might be. Some of our learners know what they want to do after high school. That was me. I wanted to be an educator from the time I was in elementary school. But for many of our learners, we have a responsibility to help them see what future careers are possible and what areas of interest they might pursue, and also helping learners see what they're good at. Sometimes our staff sees that in the child before they see it in themselves.
For teachers, I think it opens their eyes to things that they haven't really experienced themselves. So it really enables them to just take a little bit of time to go out, ask questions, find out what they can do in their day-to-day lives in the classroom to support allowing students to get into those professions of the places that they observed.
I feel like getting a career choice right will dictate so much of your happiness in life. I'm excited that this extra element of what we try to do here in Waynesboro, so to get out there and see the real world, how we can apply the knowledge that they have to helping our students become career ready, I think is a wonderful thing and really, really an exciting part of what I do.
In our school, we're really proud of the relationships we have with our community. And even if they don't gain anything for their classroom specifically, the opportunity to make a relationship with our community members and the local businesses and industries that support our school is really powerful for our staff members.
All right, well, thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to show me around and show me what you do. Thank you very much.
No, it's my pleasure. Anything that we can do for the community and anything that I can do to help encourage other kids or even adults to get into this field is a bonus in my book. So I appreciate you coming.
That was good.
Okay. So that's it for Clayton comments. How about board member comments? Ready? Yeah. Okay. Now it's time for the second public comment. Same request that you please give your name and address and try to limit your comments to 5 minutes.
Hi, I'm Susan Wolf, 12246 Polktown Road in Waynesboro. I just have a couple statements and some questions. I understand that we're talking about this WellSpan agreement that's been around for years. When I sit back there and hear this, I think to myself, but why do we have to keep doing it the same? As someone else who was up here before said, why does it need to be done in a school setting? If the parents are going to give permission ahead of time to have it done, can't that consent form also state that they give the school permission to take the kids across the street to the hospital? It doesn't make sense that it's done in a school setting. I just don't get that. You know, yes, they couldn't get it done in a timely manner for whatever reason, but I still don't understand why the school takes it upon themselves to want to have it done in a school setting. This doesn't make sense to me. There's a lot of liability, as someone stated earlier. I just think that needs to be revisited. My other thing is that whoever made the decision in the first place, like I said, we don't have to always go with that, you know, that we can make a change and decide we're going to do it differently. I think it's something to consider. Also, a question about, you were talking about the staff clinic. It's just for the staff and their families. Who pays for the staff clinic to be done for you guys to go there? Do the taxpayers pay that?
No, WellSpan pays rent to be there. So
Okay.
that doesn't, and the insurance for the teachers and the staff pay for their treatment.
Okay, all right. And just another observation, when we were discussing, or when you were discussing the part of the WellSpan contract, it blows my mind that any of you can sit here and, especially those who voted yes, when you're discussing something that is being changed and you don't physically have that copy in front of you with the change and the wording of that change, and you okay it. It just seems like, I mean, if I went to a job and I was going to be told what my job duties were, and I had a contract with the place that I was at, I would, if they were going to make changes in the contract between them and me, I certainly would not sign anything until I have, when they're making changes, that I would have a copy of that.
But we do. The only addition was the clarification of the parent consent, which
But
we
it's
do.
not complete because I understand there's things crossed out, correct? Is that what you're saying? The copy you have, things are crossed out?
That's correct.
Okay, that's not a complete copy, a done deal, until it is completely corrected. And I don't understand how you guys can just, I appreciate the ones who stood up and said no. They need to see it. The public needs to see it. How you can say, okay, we're going to approve it whenever you haven't even put it out there for anybody else to see. You're working for us. But it sounds like you're not working for us when you agree to something before you let everybody else see it in its entire form. So I just think you need to think about that. You work for the parents, and I really appreciate the ones who said no, because that's exactly what everyone should have said. And I took notice to who said yes. Thank you.
Ma'am, we're only allowing, we're following our policy, which says if you've already spoken, then someone else needs to take a turn.
Question though,
Well, I understand, but
your
I'm going to ask you
where
to.
WellSpan is, that is there for your staff and their families, is that just for you guys, or is the public welcome to that as well?
For us.
Not for us. It's
Not
for
for
the
us.
staff
Uh-huh.
that's provided by WellSpan.
What do you define by staff?
Employees,
So for your staff, for Waynesboro staff,
correct.
okay. So is it just your staff that can go to wherever they pay rent to
Correct.
you? So then why don't you make an exchange with WellSpan if you want? Take the $9,500 you're going to pay them.
Okay, I
let them
appreciate
use
it,
that to
ma'am,
rent the
but you've
building
already
from you.
spoken today. This is the same topic, similar
That's fine.
topic.
I just wanted
Thank
to make
you.
that.
Thank you. Next, please.
Whew. Rough night tonight, guys, huh? Whew. Sort of kind of feel bad for you, but I'm Corinne Biesecker, 31 Philadelphia Avenue here in Waynesboro. Hope everybody's doing good tonight. See everybody's healthy. Looking great, guys. Whew. Mrs. Linda Zimmerman. Had a lot to say tonight. Saying about how parents have rights. I don't see many parents' rights going on. What happened, guys? You guys lose your fire? Because the way I look at it as, if you ain't willing to step up, maybe you guys should resign. And maybe we should find people that's gonna step up for our kids. Because I'll tell you what my kid's daddy told them earlier, and one of the reasons why he's not here. He told them, school district tries anything at all without parents' consent, because kids ain't stupid nowadays. They're gonna let us know. You guys see all the parents right here, and there's more of us that aren't here because jobs and stuff like that and things to do. You guys not see what's going on? There's lawsuits going on from parents. Parents are standing up. Parents are getting educated. I mean, Mrs. Harold, you seem like you don't even want anything to do with us tonight, which is a shame. Todd Klein, I called you last week down here at Clayton Avenue, specifically said my name after we got the borough blast about can't legally do anything else about the mask mandates. Coming from a governor who doesn't have the right unless it's under a state of emergency. You guys know we've been doing our research. We've been doing our homework. I'm not the smartest crayon in the box, but when it comes to my kids, that's where I'm going to stand up. And I told my kids to stand up. Candace Owens is telling parents to pull their kids out of these school districts. You think we want to do that to you guys? You think I want my kids not to have an education? I want my kids to have an education from teachers that are going to teach them about history, how America became about, how we became one nation under God. United we stand, divided we fall. It's not 1973 anymore, ladies. It's 2021. Lots change. People look at you weird now. It's a shame. Teach my kids every day to be nice to people, not look at people different, because COVID's really, really changed humanity. And when did our school become about politics? Politics were never brought into the school when I was in school. Learning about government, of course, all kids should learn about government. What are we doing? Honestly, you seem like you don't even have a care in the world, Mrs. Zimmerman. I've been to 3 of them. Woo! You get my blood pressure rising. But I'm not a domestic terrorist. No. But if you don't care, right there's the door. Don't let the good Lord hit you where it splits you. Because we don't need people representing our children. We're just going to say yes on things. We're just going to, yep, of course, do this, do that. Thank you, you two, very much. Appreciate it. I feel like you guys are standing up for us. I don't know what's going on. You guys need to wake up. America's starting to wake up, and parents are starting to wake up. And I applaud all the parents that are here tonight standing up for their children and other children, because you guys don't know what it's like for my kids to come home every day. And it's a mask issue. It's always about these masks. Come on. Education comes first. Make sure you guys remember that.
Anyone else tonight?
Hi, name's Brittany Beiser. I live at 12127 Bear Drive. And I just want to clear something up because it seems like there's a lot of confusion for the majority sitting up here compared to the parents back here. Our issue isn't with some additional health care for our kids or a little help if we're working too many hours and we don't have time to get to the doctors. It's the fact that you don't have something for us to look at that you passed today. It was already stated before you decided to pass something that there was absolutely no problem tabling it for 2 weeks to the next board meeting, to where you could send out another email that every single one of these concerned parents could have seen in black and white in front of them. That was the problem. That's all we asked, to see what you were passing, because right now there's a huge lack of trust with our board. We voiced our concerns about the masks. And as great as postponing it was, it didn't get us very far. What was concerns about what you're voting on today for the WellSpan. We weren't asking you not to have WellSpan or not to have healthcare additional for our children. Just allow us to see in black and white exactly what it is, exactly what's going to be allowed, not we'll scratch this out, we'll change this, because we know how changes happen, just like the consent forms with our masks. That changed very quickly, and most parents didn't even know. So just a little bit of common decency to give parents enough respect to just to be able to see in black and white exactly what's going to happen and what's going to be available and what won't be for our kids. And that's really all we were asking for. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jenny McChesney. My address is 505 Evangeline Drive. Thanks for allowing me to speak tonight. I hope all of you are doing well. Thank you for acknowledging the revision of section 4 or paragraph 4. I know that was a hot topic, so thank you all for revising that. So I would like the board to picture themselves sitting out in these seats where the parents are, and think about how it looks to us when we see the board members not wearing masks, yet the board is the one who decides that our children and teachers must wear a mask every day at school. You're telling us that telling us that the enforcers are not adhering to the rules that they are enforcing. And I know that's not everyone up here, and I know some of you have chosen to wear a mask tonight, and others, other evenings you have not. But it's a little ironic. And maybe some of you have a special exemption form, and hopefully our teachers will get that form too. Additionally, the grace period or extension that was added and it has now ended. I know you had extended this due to the courts, and I'm just wondering if there's going to be an additional extension while the courts are still working this out. We all know that litigation is a long process. So are we going to make the student suffer while we wait, or can we please extend until a legal decision has been made? If the board is going to make us follow the mandate, is that something that has been considered? Another extension? No, okay. So furthermore, I'm going to speak directly to the board and to the parents behind me. After comments made tonight, I think it's evident that a new set of eyes and voices need to have a seat at the table. Come November 2nd, I encourage all of you to come out and vote for the 4 parents who are running for school board as write-ins. Thank you.
My name is Lois Plattner, and I live at 1480 3rd Street here in Waynesboro. Right is right and wrong is wrong. It is as simple as that. But many can't seem to grasp the simplicity of it. I humbly admit that I have been a blindly trusting person for most of my adult life. I thought that school districts were supposed to be working for the best interest of the children in their district. I trusted that without waiver. I blindly believed that school boards were made up of good people that care about the kids and the families in their communities. Not once in the past did I question it because I didn't see anything that made me have to question it. With the many events that have come to light, I have now woken up to the unsettling reality that there really is an agenda that isn't being disclosed and transparency isn't being acted upon. I blindly trusted that our rights as citizens were protected, and now I'm watching our rights one by one being put on the chopping block to be stripped away from each of us. I have had to re-educate myself on things that I didn't like to study when I was in school. I've had to educate and research for myself on things that are happening all around me and my children. I've never in my life seen such chaos and dysfunction as a society. It is scary and it is disheartening what people are doing to each other. No one has the right to make the decision for my children except for me and my husband. That's it. No one has the right to tell me what to do for them, who they see, or any of those things. That is my right as their parent. Mandates are not laws. Criminal charges cannot be enforced on mandates, but they can on the laws. I will fight within my legal rights as a parent with extreme prejudice against the school district if you break any laws that infringe on my children's rights as a student and as a human being. I personally feel that the government bodies are after our children are using you, the school board members, as pawns in their efforts. Remember, in the big picture, you are the low man on the totem pole, and you are usable and dispensable to the government. So you, each member of the board, need to decide if you are going to go down with what's right and with integrity, or go down as a coward and submissive to the evil agenda for the higher powers that be. I hope that you each take a step back and make decisions based on facts, laws, your own integrity, not the integrity of the people who you claim to have your back. At the end of the day, people of integrity will stick together and stand up for each other. People who have no integrity will always be the ones that is looking out for their own agenda and won't think twice about throwing someone under the bus. So at the end of the day, who are you and who will you be? And one last thing to remember, good will always win over evil, and the truth will always come out.
Anybody else tonight? Okay, if not, then we will be going into an executive session, but we will not be returning. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.